And a huge shout out to AC Infinity for sponsoring today's video. If you're looking for some high-tech quality equipment for your tent, check out acinfinity.com. Whether it's their clip-on fans, the Gen 2s, their air circulation systems, or their lights, check them out at acinfinity.com. Use promo code PIGEONS420. You're going to save a few dollars off at checkout. You're going to help support the show, and you're going to get yourself some quality equipment. Also, a huge shout out to Seedsman. If you're looking for some quality genetics from a quality place, check out Seedsman. Use promo code PIGEONS420. They're working with some of the best breeders in the game to hook you up with quality genetics. Check them out. Use promo code PIGEONS420 and thank them both for sponsoring today's video. What's going on, guys? I hope you guys are well and warm, kicking it fly today, baby, because we've got a serious discussion to be had, and that is regarding the worst genetics I will never grow again. Now, let me caveat this with a very important message, and that is, of course, these are going to be particular phenotypes that I grew. You might be thinking that as I list these off, wait a sec, that was one of the best grows I ever had. That's because you probably got one of those phenotypes I was hoping I had gotten. However, I grew a few of these a couple times, and I know for a fact I won't grow them again. Good pheno or not, I've got limited space in my garden, and I need to make sure that what goes in there is rewarding me with exactly what I need for the work that I put in. So today we're going to be talking about the worst genetics I will never grow again. I guess they don't even have to be the worst genetics, they just need to be genetics I will never grow again. We're going to start this one off with a fan favorite, actually, and that is Blue Dream. It's difficult for me to make this one because Blue Dream is a very OG, it's one of those classic genetics where you hear some of the OGs refer to Blue Dream as the shit. Well, it was missing for me, and for a couple of reasons. The number one reason I knew that I wasn't going to grow this genetic again, and I knew this before I even harvested it, and that was just the way that the plant develops. A lot of the times when I'm seeing a Blue Dream or something with the Blue Dream characteristics, those buds look very leafy. It's very hard to distinguish between the bud material and the leaf material. I'm not saying it's larfy and loose. No, it just looks very spread out and very, very elongated to the leaves, but not so much denseness to the bud, if that's a great way to put it, if that's a way to put it at all. If you put this stuff into like a bowl trimmer, I feel like a bowl trimmer might even have a hard time trying to distinguish between what's bud and what's flower or leaf matter. And the same thing when you're trimming it, I feel like as I'm trimming it, I'm like, oh, did I just drop off a bud or is that just a bunch of longer leaves? It's hard to tell. So before I even got out of the harvest, out of the flowering stage, I knew that the buds were just weird looking. I didn't like that. The second thing is that Blue Dream for me, I really didn't put together that it was one to put you to sleep. Of course, I should have understood that the Blue Dream is something that people with, perhaps pain or say a hard time sleeping, they can rely on this genetic to get them to sleep. I'm not looking for that. Although I do have trouble sleeping, that's not what I use weed for. I use weed to boost me up, keep me motivated and energized, but that's not what Blue Dream did for me. Didn't like it in the garden, didn't like it in the bowl. So Blue Dream, number one, this is a genetic I will probably never grow again, but that's not to say that I might not grow something with it in its lineage. So we'll leave Blue Dream up in the air for now, but as of this very moment, I will not grow Blue Dream again. Number two. Now this one may be a little bit surprising, but this one I felt was very, very finicky. Very tough to grow, didn't accept a lot of the training that I was giving it, so therefore she stunted and she struggled. And therefore brought me more stress and unneeded anxiety, and that is AK-47. For some reason, this was a very finicky genetic. I grew it twice. Both times, while trying to train it, I struggled. I couldn't keep her fed well enough. She would end up getting very yellow, very spindly. She wouldn't react to the training very well. I never got AK-47 either time all the way through flower with a successful bounty. Something went tragically wrong on both of those grows, leading these girls to just not take the level of training that I was trying to provide for. And generally, I'm trying to get anywhere between 1.5 to 3/4 of a pound on each plant. So there's a level of training that just goes into my garden that I kind of expect all the genetics to take. AK-47 didn't handle it. It was very finicky, very spindly, very loose, and just didn't like it very well. So unfortunately, can't even give you a smoke report on the AK-47 that I grew because it just never made it all the way through harvest. And for me, as I mentioned, space being limited, plants have to be able to adhere to a very specific growth routine. And that's to stay low, get trained out, and to yield high. And if the genetic can't do that, it does not have a spot for me in my garden. So unfortunately, AK-47 doesn't keep up to the name, and it does not have a spot in my garden. Number 3. This is one that disappoints me. This one had an entire movie named after it, and that is Pineapple Express. Again, grew this one 2 different times. Both times in the same form as the AK-47, could not keep up to the level of training that I was throwing at it. Both times, both genetics hermied. They showed same sex traits. This is an issue. I can't have this in my garden because if you can't handle the level of training, it doesn't work out for me. 2 times I grew Pineapple Express, and both times it hermied. This is unacceptable. Now, of course, as I mentioned at the top of the video, this could be because of the particular phenotype, could be because of the particular breeder, but the reality is with a wide array of genetics out there and the wide array of breeders that are putting out some high, top tier quality genetics, that's the stuff I want to explore, and I don't want to get caught up in trying to figure out which ones are going to work for me and how many tries do I need to do it to get it right. If it doesn't work on the first try, I chalk it up to myself. If it doesn't work on the second try, I chalk it up to the plant. And that could be right or that could be wrong. But the reality is that's the level of threshold that we have, level of expectation that I have in my garden. So number 3, unfortunately, is Pineapple Express. Number 4. Now, this one is another difficult one because I've been on the internet doing weed since 2014. I used to blog on the interwebs, then I started making videos, and when I was on my original growing spurt of learning what weed was and how to grow it and all those things, this one was on the table as one of the ones that was revered very high. It looked beautiful. It got quality reviews, and I knew that once I started to get my feet under myself, I was going to try this genetic. That is Grape Ape. Now, only grew this one once, and it could have been the pheno, but boy, let me tell you, it was beautiful. This is kind of what gives pretty weed a bad name, because Grape Ape didn't live up to the hype of its looks. Beautiful colors, purples, dark oranges, some browns, like just beautiful looking plant. And this is what a lot of people would desire when they're looking for quality colors and a quality looking plant. But the reality is that it was kind of like sex in a canoe, fucking near water. I smoked it, no taste, not a whole lot of flavor, just underwhelming in every single aspect. Grew it once. I was so excited to get into it. When I sat down to do the review, I was enthusiastic, but then I smoked it and I just thought, wow, this is remarkably underwhelming. Not many of the genetics on the list are here because they just didn't smoke right. So as I said, the first time I grow it, when I mess up, I usually attribute that to me. The second time I grow it, I kind of attribute that to the genetic. Being as I only grew this one once, wasn't a huge fan. It might very well have been that pheno, but I gotta be honest with you, it left a pretty, I would say a sour taste, but it left no taste in my mouth at all. And that's frustrating to me because I really do enjoy a very tasty, a very earthy, very potent smell to my nose and my taste buds, because that's what sets genetics apart from each other, is that palate, that taste, just the cannabinoids that draw you in for so much more. That's what I love about good weed. The last one on my list, number 5, is one that I have never grown before. This is one that I actually got from a local dispensary, and it is a pine tar. What the hell is pine tar? I have no idea. Smoked this one not that long ago. It was absolutely disgusting. No chance I would ever have this in my garden whatsoever. It was almost like if you had rolled up a bunch of like cigarette butts and left it outside for a good 24, 48 hours in the rain and then tried to ingest it. It was gross. It was gross. I was really surprised that this even had a market. Could have been just a bad pheno. Thought it was an honorable mention because I was just not touching it. It was one we had when the boys were over, and quite frankly, it was embarrassing to say that this is stuff that I found up here in my country. But that was pine tar. Well, according to Leafly, pine tar Kush stems from a family of pure indica genetics native to Pakistan. This strain is nearly unaltered from its original genetic form and expresses itself with bright green hues and a skunky aroma. The rich Kush flavor of pine mixes with sweet undertones that give away the pine tar Kush calming yet talkative buzz. Well, that's not exactly how I would describe it at all. Coming to terms with the name pine tar kind of actually sums up the way that I think it tastes. I don't get any Kush from that at all, and I think it's a kind of a shame to put a Kush name on it. But that's my honorable mention. That's my number 5. Those are genetics I will never grow again, or at all, because that's just the way I am. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy these videos, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know what would be your genetics that you will not grow ever again. I want to hear from you. You guys left a heck load of comments on the last video of the stankiest weed of all time of 2024. I want to hear for this one, guys. You guys are an absolute blessing. Much love. Take it easy and stay medicated, eh? Because guess what? Life's better that way. In the arms of the angel, fly away from here. From this dark, cold hotel room and the endlessness that you fear. Hi, I'm Pigeons 420. Will you be an angel for an abused plant? Every day, innocent plants are abused, beaten, and neglected, and they're calling for your help. Please visit stashblend.com today and join the nation in helping abused plants get an 8-ounce bag of Stash Blend. That's just $27.70 or 96 cents per day. You'll be helping rescue plants from their abusers and provide nutrition, beneficial bacteria, mycorrhizae, and love. You'll help rescue plants from their abusers. Call or join now, and you'll receive a welcome kit of a photo of a dude impacted by your decision. Order now and change a life.